Good morning, students. Is it audible? Is it audible? So you can
Yes, sir.
text. Okay. Okay. We'll wait for another 1 or 2 minutes. Later on, we will start. Only 12 members have joined. So till now, we have discussed about what is this traffic. Then what are the functions of traffic engineer? We have discussed. Then we have discussed about the road characteristics. So, which is a composition of both vehicle traffic and the pedestrian traffic. So, in the last class, we were discussing about the road user characteristics. So, again, before going to road user characteristics, the road characteristics are divided into two categories. One is the road user characteristics, and another one is the vehicular characteristics. So, road user characteristics means we the people. So, what are the behaviors of behavior of our what is the behavior of us, that is those who are using the road. And vehicular characteristics means the behavior of the vehicle when there is no vehicles on the road, and when there is vehicles which that is when the road is of completely in jamming condition. So wait a minute. Okay, that is when the vehicles are in jamming condition, how the vehicle is going to behave. And when the vehicles are in signals, okay, how they are going to behave. So that we are going to discuss today. Today we will complete this road user characteristics. We were left with this road user characteristics. So we have discussed only about the physiological characteristics. That is again, the road user characteristics are divided into physiological characteristics. We know that psychological, then mental characteristics, and environmental characteristics of the road user we have discussed. So, what are the physiological characteristics? As we all know that there are two types are there. Two physiological characteristics you should learn. One is vision, and another one is hearing. Wait a minute. So one is vision and another one is hearing. So vision, which is very important to see the objects which are present on the road. Then hearing, so hearing is required by the pedestrian. So vision is required by the road user, that is whether it may be a driver or pedestrian. But this hearing should be very much mandatory for pedestrian. As we all know that whenever the pedestrians are crossing the road means they should be able to hear the voice of the vehicle nearby, the vehicle which is nearing to the road user, such that he can sense that the vehicle is very nearing, so he can walk away from that vehicle. So this is about hearing. And we have discussed about this vision, glare effect, and depth judgment. So vision means there are four types of visions are there, three types of visions are there. One is acute vision, when the angle is 3 degree up to 10 to 12 degree, which is permissible. So that is the acute angle. Then peripheral vision means other than the road, whatever the objects which are visible to your eyes. So that we are going to call it as peripheral vision. So 160-degree horizontal direction, 115 degree vertical direction we can consider. Then color vision, I think we all know that it is very important. If you have any color blindness, for you people means you can't discriminate the colors, so you can't differentiate the colors. So you should have a proper color vision such that the traffic signs and traffic colors should be known to you. Okay, and it should be visible to you. Then adapt to glare. I told right during the night time. Okay, during night time, the headlights Okay, the headlights of the vehicle which is coming in opposite direction will be hitting your eyes. You can see here. Okay, what I have marked here in the second photo, you can see here the headlights of the opposite vehicle, the light rays are going to hit your eyes, so you are facing some glare effect, so you can't drive the vehicle. So that you should not happen. The driver should have sufficient adapt to glare, and the glare recovery time is 3 to 6 seconds. Okay, within 3 to 6 seconds you have to recover. Okay, that is you have to come back to the normal thing. Then depth judgment. Okay, that is the distance of the object from the place where you are sitting or from the vehicle, the distance of the object which is present inside along the length of the road you should see. So distance of the object, that is stereoscopically, not by your bare eyes only you are going to see, and which is very important to the road user, the depth judgment. If you have a proper depth judgment, that is if you are able to see the object and you are able to sense at what distance, approximate distance, at what distance the object is there, so that you can apply the brakes easily. So this is about the vision. And hearing, I told it is very vital for pedestrians, usually the pedestrians who are crossing the road. So the sound of horn or a sound of the nearing vehicle itself can alert a pedestrian to safety. That is whenever a pedestrian is crossing the road, means you should make a signal for him. If he is not able to listen, hear the sound, means you should make a signal to him such that you will be moving at safety. Then elderly persons with a failing eyesight can perceive better through hearing than seeing. So some people, elder persons will be there, they will be failing in eyesight, but they will perceive hearing. So they will be good in hearing, so they can avoid this accident. So defective hearing is however not a serious handicap. Okay, this is a very important thing. That is, it will not create any serious handicap. Next, we will move to the psychological characteristics. What are those psychological characteristics? Till now, we have discussed about the physical characteristics or physiological characteristics. So, in this physiological characteristics, we have discussed about vision and hearing. Okay, is it understood? Is it understood? You can unmute yourself and you can answer, or you can leave a message in the chat section also if it is understood. Understood? Is it understood? You can leave a message in the chat section, or you can unmute yourself and you can answer. Okay, I hope you have understood the physiological simple things, vision and hearing. Next one, which comes under the psychological characteristics. What are the psychological characteristics which belongs to your psychology? Whose psychology? The driver psychology or the pedestrian psychology? Usually, this psychological characteristics we are going to discuss about the driver, not with respect to the pedestrian. Okay, the pedestrian will come into picture when the physiological characteristics are there, but when it comes to psychological characteristics, driver is very responsible. Okay, the important psychological characteristics are perception, intellection, emotion and volition. Okay, you will be driving a vehicle at a cool manner, so simply listen here. You will be driving the vehicle with a cool manner, that is without any obstruction. You will be driving very neatly. So whenever suddenly an obstruction comes, means what you are going to do? What you are going to do? So you can unmute. No need to hesitate. You can unmute yourself and you can answer. What will happen? Suddenly a vehicle or any object comes in your path. What you are going to do? Are you going to hit that object, or are you going to hit that thing and you are going to move, or you are going to stop your vehicle? Kindly respond. Are you going to stop the vehicle, or are you going to hit that vehicle and you are going to run? Kindly respond. I'm waiting for your response. Are you going to stop the vehicle or are you going to hit that vehicle? Yes, you are going to stop the vehicle. But some people will be there, they will be hitting the they will be hitting the vehicle and they will be running. That is which is called as a hit and run. But in the actual procedure, what we are going to do means you are going to stop the vehicle without hitting that object. Okay, that behavior of the driver we are going to call it as a psychological characteristic. Okay, the psychological characteristics are again divided into perception, intellection, emotion, and volition. You can see here you are driving very in calm manner. That is coolly you are driving, but whenever you see the object or whenever you see the object which is coming in your path means you are going to stop the vehicle with some some expressions you are going to express. So that we are going to call it as a psychological characteristics. Okay, the psychological characteristics is explained by the Pew theory. Okay, remember this is very important. The psychological characteristics is explained by the Pew theory. From the exam, for the exam, this is the compulsory question they will ask. Explain Pew theory with diagram. Okay, with neat sketch, explain Pew theory. So we will see what is this Pew theory. Okay, I told right. Whenever you are moving on the road means if an object comes in your path means you are going to stop the vehicle. At what duration you are going to stop? What is the duration taken by you to stop the vehicle? So that thing we are going to discuss using this Pew theory. Okay, the reaction to traffic situation depends on the time required to perceive, understand the traffic situation and to take appropriate action. This is called total reaction time. So the time the time taken by the driver to perceive the situation and understand the traffic condition and final action taken. What is the final action taken? Application of brakes. That is the final action we can take. So in the Pew theory, the reaction time of the driver we are going to discuss. Okay, that is the total reaction time of the driver. So the psychological characteristics are total reaction time is explained by Pew theory. I told that this is explained by very important, that is Pew theory. Okay, now you will be moving on the road. So this will be the road, what I am indicating. You will be moving on the road. Suddenly an obstruction will be on the road. What you are going to do? You are going to stop the vehicle at a certain distance. Okay, so you will be moving at 100 kmph. So some people will be there, they will be hitting this object and they will be moving by reducing the speed to 30 to 40 kmph. And whenever you are moving with 100 kmph, you are going to slightly slow down your vehicle. You are not going to move at 100 kmph till the edge of the object. You are going to slow down. At this point, you can move at 60 kmph. At this point, it is 30. At this point, it is 20 kmph. And finally, it is a 0 kmph. That is application of brake. Okay, you remember whenever a vehicle is moving means if an object comes to in your path. Okay, if an obstruction come to in your path means what will happen? You are going to stop the vehicle at a certain distance without hitting the object. So the time taken to stop the vehicle when the object is visible to you. Remember the time taken by the driver to stop the vehicle without hitting the object, that we are going to call it as a total reaction time. Remember, total reaction time means it is the time taken by the driver to see the object, to judge the situation and taking the final action. Okay, that entire process is explained by Pew theory. Can you guess how much second you can take to stop the vehicle when you see the object? Can anybody, any idea? Any idea at what time you can stop the vehicle? You can unmute yourself and you can answer, or you can leave a message in the chat section also. Can anybody, any idea at what duration you can stop the vehicle? So what is the duration or what is the time lapse he can take? What is the time lapse? Any idea? In general, any idea about this time lapse? What is the time lapse he can take to stop the vehicle? 20 seconds. Okay, we will write here 20 seconds. Others, any idea? Others, only one is responding. What about others? So kindly respond. So 20 seconds, one is 10 to 15 seconds. Okay, 10 to 15 seconds. Then others, any idea? Only two are responding. So others, kindly respond. So your friend, one of your friend told 20 seconds and one of your friend told 10 to 15 seconds. So others, any idea about what is the time duration you can take? 10 seconds. Okay. Okay. We will see. So remember, you will get shocked now. So whenever he sees the object, he will try to. Okay. Someone is saying 5 seconds. Okay. It is very near. So whenever the driver sees the object, means whenever he senses the object that it is present on the road, means he will take 2.5 seconds. Excuse me. That is, he will take 2.5 seconds time to stop the vehicle whenever he come across this obstruction on the road. Whenever he come across this obstruction, means he will take only 2.5 seconds. We can assume a fraction of second is necessary for stopping the vehicle. That is 2.5 seconds. How we are going to get this 2.5 seconds? That is which is explained by the Pew theory. So look here. This is the Pew theory. So in the last diagram, you can see here an object is seen. So an object is visible on the road. So what will happen? So there is a object. We all know that the stimulus are there in our body. So the stimulus means it may be ears, eyes, or ears we can call stimulus. So whenever you sense the object, means the stimulus sends the signals to brain. Okay, what will happen? The stimulus send the signals to brain. In the brain, it will analyze, then it will apply the brake. Okay, you remember in this Pew theory, it is very simple. So whenever you see the obstruction on the road, the stimulus will send the sensors to brain. In the brain, it is going to analyze, and after analyzing, it will send the signal to the it will send the signal to the your hands or legs, such that to pull the brake or to hit that object. So this is the Pew theory. Remember, it is very simple. So whenever you see the obstruction object on the road, the stimulus, either eyes or ears, the stimulus is going to send the sensors to the brain. In the brain, it is going to analyze whether to stop the vehicle or whether to hit that object. Then the response. Okay, whenever there is a stimulus, means there should be a response. So the response will be sent to hands or legs, such that to stop the vehicle. How these sensors will traverse? Through spinal cord of our body. Through spinal cord of our body, the sensors is going to transform. Okay, that is the psychological characteristics or total reaction time of the driver is explained by Pew theory. I was telling, what is this Pew theory? P means perception time, I means intellection time, E means emotion time, V means volition time. Okay, what is the full form of P? Means perception, intellection, emotion, and volition. Okay, these are the four terms they have taken. Perception time, intellection time, emotion time, and volition time. Okay, now we will see what is this perception time. Okay, perception time means it is the time required for the sensations. I told right, whenever the driver is able to sense the object means that is through eyes or ears, it is the time taken to sense the object. Okay, remember in the exam also they will ask this one PU theory. So you should be in a point to answer that perception time means it is the time taken by the driver to sense the object. Okay, this is a simple statement. To sense the object means to see the object, so which will be transmitted to the brain through nervous system. Okay, perception time means it is the time required for the sensation received by eyes or ears of the driver to be transmitted to the brain through nervous system or spinal cord. So remember, perception time means it is the time taken by the driver to sense the object. Okay, to sense the object. Okay, this is a simple statement. Perception time, it is the time taken by the driver to sense the object, whether in terms of through eyes or through ears he can sense the object, and he can send the signals to the brain through nervous system. That is the perception time. Next is the intellection time. Okay, I told right, as soon as you send the signals to the brain means the brain will understand the situation. Okay, it is the time required for the driver to understand the situation, whether any other obstructions are there or any the road is empty or not, that is the road is full or not, it is going to analyze. That is he will understand the situation, what to do, and those things he will understand. That is the time required for the driver to understand the situation. Then comes the emotion time. It is the time elapsed during a emotional sensation. Whenever you are driving the vehicle means if a suddenly anything comes on your path means what will happen, you will get fear. So you are going to emit your emotion. Okay, that time we are going to call it as emotion time, such as mental disturbances such as fear, anger, or any other emotional feeling. Okay, emotion time means it is the time elapsed during the emotional sensation in terms of fear or anger. So you will be anger whenever an object or suddenly you will be moving in a straight line like this. Suddenly a vehicle comes in your path. Okay, your vehicle will be here, and suddenly a vehicle comes in your path means what you are going to do? You are going to scold this vehicle. You are going to anger on this vehicle such that why you are coming in my path, and you are going to scold that people. So that time elapsement we are going to call it as emotion time. The last one is volition time. Okay, it is the time taken by the driver for final action. What is the final action? Application of brakes. Okay, that is volition means here the stimulus will be sent to the brain. So that time we are going to call it as perception time. It will understand the situation, that we are going to call it as the intellection time, and emitting your emotion time. Then comes the volition, that is the final response of the driver, that is final action taken by the driver, that to application of brakes, that we are going to call it as a PU theory. Okay, perception time, intellection time, and emotion time, those things we are going to call it as a PU theory. So remember, this is very important. In the exam you should write this diagram. So writing the diagram carries 2 marks. They will ask for 6 marks. Then mentioning the perception time, then explaining the PU theory, you will get 6 marks. Okay, I told right, the total time required to complete the PU theory. So it is the 2.5 necessary to complete this PU theory. That is 2.5 seconds. Within 2.5 seconds, everything will happen. That is sensing the object, understanding situation, emotion time, then volition time, final action taken by the driver. And this is the minimum. You can go up to 3 to 4 seconds also. As per Indian Roads Congress, the reaction time is T is taken as 2.5 seconds. But you can go up to 3 to 4 seconds. Okay, this is about the Pew theory. So perception time, intellection time, emotion time, and volition time. Perception time, it is the time required to sense the object. Intellection time, time required to understand the situation. Emotion time, the time required for emotional sensations. Volition time, final action, the time required by the driver to take the final action. Okay, this is a Pew theory. The entire Pew theory is going to complete within 2.5 seconds. That is, only 2.5 seconds is necessary. Whenever the driver sees the object, understand the situation, then final action taken by the driver, which will complete within 2.5 seconds. Okay, is it understood? Understood? Any doubts in this?
No, sir.
Is it understood? So others can respond. Only 2-3 members are responding. So is it understood? Okay. That is this is very important from the examination point of view, and you should know whenever accident occurs means if the reaction time is greater than 2.5 seconds means then only the accident is going to happen. So then only the accident is going to occur whenever the reaction time of the driver is greater than this 2.5 seconds. Okay, this is about the Pew theory. So this comes under the psychological characteristics. So next we will see the mental characteristics. So the mental characteristics are very simple. So the knowledge, skill, intelligence, experience, then literacy. Okay, that is the important mental characteristics. Knowledge, you should have the knowledge about vehicular characteristics, traffic behavior, driving practice, rules of roads, and psychology of road user. So whenever you are using the road means you should have some knowledge about the vehicle. Okay, that is whenever you are using two-wheeler or four-wheeler, you should have the knowledge about that vehicle. So at what is the maximum speed of that vehicle and what is the minimum speed? Then how many you should know the what type of gear system. All those things you should know. That is the vehicular characteristics. Then traffic behavior. Okay, that is especially the traffic stream. Okay, when it is a jamming condition, whenever it is congestion, how you have to behave, and all those things you should get to know. Then driving practice. So nowadays the youths, the people are riding very rash driving. Okay, so the driving practice you should know. Rules of roads and regulations of roads. That is you should know the traffic signs. You should know the traffic signs, then traffic signals, then markings. All these things should be known to you before driving the vehicle on the road. Then psychology of the roads, I told it, the Pew theory should be known to you. So within 2.5 seconds you should apply the brake whenever you see the object. So these are the some mental characteristics. Okay, knowledge, skill, you should have sufficient knowledge about the vehicle characteristics, then traffic behavior, driving practice, rules of roads, psychology of road users, and the skill, reaction to certain traffic situation become more spontaneous with experience. Okay, especially this reaction to certain traffic situation, when you can experience means when it is congestion, when there is a traffic congestion or jam means you should be have sufficient skill such that you can go very easily. So if a small gap is available in the traffic jam means going inside that gap and moving from other side. So it should be very reactive. That is, you should have sufficient spontaneous reactions when there is a jamming condition. Then understanding the traffic regulation and special instruction to road users, and timely action depends on the intelligence and literacy. nowadays what is happening means whenever they are issuing the DLs, they will not seeing this whether he is a literate or not, whether he is having some idea about traffic regulation or not. They are not seeing. Simply they will be issuing by showing some signs and all those things, but it is not accepted. So you should be in a point to have the sufficient understanding about the traffic regulation and special instruction to the road users. Okay, this is the mental characteristics. So knowledge, you should have sufficient knowledge about the vehicle rules and regulations. Skill, that is under certain conditions you should showcase, that is showcase your skill in the traffic condition. Intelligence and experience, then literacy. Okay, these are the some mental characteristics. Next is environmental characteristics. What are the various environmental characteristics? We will see. So traffic stream behavior. Okay, as we all know that there are two traffic stream are there. One is a fast moving traffic. Another one is a slow moving traffic. So the road user will be able to judge or be able to judge fast or slow moving traffic. So he should be have some characteristics that he should drive the vehicle at fast moving. You can see in the first photo what I am pointing out. This is a fast moving traffic. So he should be able to move in this fast moving traffic also, and he should be able to move in the slow moving traffic also. Then roadside features. Okay, this is the photo which is indicating the roadside features. You can see the roadside features are very good in nature. If you see the roadside features very good in condition means it will be happy for you to drive the vehicle. So for example, whenever you are driving the vehicle in the guard section, it will be very happy for driving the vehicle. Why? Because the nature will be there. So the features other than the road will be very good. So it will be happy for you to drive the vehicle, which comes under the environmental characteristics. Then atmospheric conditions. Okay, whenever there is a rain, mist, fog, so it basically depends on the driver characteristics, whether to drive the vehicle during raining. And some people will be there. They are happy to drive the vehicle in the raining. That is during rainy seasons. Whenever it is raining, they will drive the vehicle. So the atmospheric conditions also contributes to the road users. Then locality, that is whether the area is urban area or rural area. So whenever the urban area is there means the characteristics of the driver will be different. Why? Because in the urban area the roads are very congested and the vehicles will be parked on the road itself, so which will affect the driving quality of the road. Then rural, that is in rural area there will be no congestion will be there will be open space and the road widths are more. So that is urban and locality. So you remember the environmental characteristics are, that is the fast and slow moving, that is the driver able to move in the fast moving traffic which is shown in the first photo. He is to able to move in the slow moving traffic which is shown in the second photo. Then roadside features. Okay, the roadside features like if the roadside features are very good in nature means it will make the driver too happy. It will make the driver happy and you will be riding very safely. Then riding in the raining, that is in the atmospheric condition, that is whether it may be a mist, fog or rain. During the time whenever some people will be there, I told right, they will ride the vehicle when there is raining only. So this comes under this environmental characteristics. Okay, is it understood? Understood? Is it understood? Is it understood? Okay. Now we will move to vehicular characteristics. Okay, this is all about the road user characteristics, what we have discussed till now. Now we will move to vehicular characteristics. So it is quite important to study the various vehicular characteristics which affects the design of the road and traffic performance. Okay, I told right in the starting class only, whenever we are discussing about the road characteristics, one is the road user characteristics and another one is the vehicular characteristics. So we have discussed about the road user, that is the we people behave, how the people are going to behave in the traffic condition. Now we will see what are the behavior of the vehicle when they are in the traffic. Okay, so that we are going to call it as a vehicular characteristics or vehicle behavior. That is, there are two types of characteristics are there. One is static characteristics and another one is dynamic characteristics. What are those static characteristics? Okay, that is the dimensions of the vehicle which cannot be altered, maximum turning angle which cannot be altered, then total weight on the vehicle which cannot be altered. Okay, static means we all know that it should be in a position without any alteration. Okay, it should be in a position without any alteration. So static, the dimensions of the vehicle, then weight. Okay, total weight you are going to discuss. Then dynamic characteristics. Dynamic characteristics. So the dynamic means which will be changing from time to time. Static characteristics means which will not be changing from time to time, but dynamic characteristics will be changing from time to time. As we all know that the dynamic characteristics and static characteristics. Static means which will not be varying with the time, but dynamic means which will be varying with time. Okay, what are the things which will vary with the time means the speed of the vehicle which will be varying with the time, acceleration and deceleration which will be varying with the time, then braking characteristics. Okay, these are the things you should remember whenever it comes under the vehicular characteristics. One is static, another one is dynamic. Static characteristics means dimensions, maximum turning angle, then total weight. Dynamic, you remember, dynamic means which will be changing from time to time. So the speed of the vehicle will be changing from, for example, you will be moving in a road. So your vehicle is moving with 80 kmph, for example, we'll consider. So you have to travel around 100 kilometer. At this point, your vehicle is moving with 80. Due to breakdown of any other vehicle on the road, you are not going to travel at 80 kmph only. At this point, the speed is going to reduce, either whether it may be 60 or 50. So which will be changing from time to time. So that is the dynamic characteristics. Okay, remember two characteristics are there. One is static characteristics and another one is dynamic. In the photo also I have shown. So the static characteristics, the dimensions I have shown. Okay, the what is the maximum width of the vehicle, then height of the vehicle, all those things I have shown here. And the thing which is changing from time to time, it is a speed which will be changing from time to time. Then acceleration, rate of change of speed, that is which vary with time only. Then braking characteristics. Okay, these are the some static and dynamic characteristics which we have to study. Next one is it is divided into two categories, but again it is divided into 6 categories. Okay, the vehicular characteristics are divided into 6 categories. That is here they are not bifurcating. They have made it as a general term. So one is vehicle dimensions, weight of loaded vehicles, power of vehicle, speed of vehicle, braking characteristics, then off tracking. Okay, we will see one by one what is this vehicle dimension. So in the vehicle dimension, what is the width of the vehicle you should provide, then height of the vehicle, then length, what is the length you are going to provide for the vehicle, that is the minimum length, width and height. Then what is the minimum weight a loaded truck? Usually the truck will be loading. So what is the loaded truck we are going to see? then the power of the vehicle, then comes the speed, how the speed will be varying with the road condition we are going to discuss. Then braking characteristics, that is with the time how the braking characteristics will be working. Then half tracking, that too especially the horizontal curves. So whenever you are moving in a curve means the half tracking will be there. So those things we are going to discuss. Okay, this is the general. Okay, here they are not divided the static and dynamic characteristics, but they are made in general. These are the vehicular characteristics. Now we will move to the first one, the vehicle dimensions and weight of loads on axle. That is the weight of loaded vehicle we are going to see. So the dimensions of the vehicle that significantly control the design of highway geometric elements. I was telling in the first stage only the scope of traffic engineering. So the highway geometric elements, the vehicle dimension governs the radius. Okay, radius of the curve on the road, it will be governed by the vehicular dimensions only. So that is the overall width, length and height of the different vehicles. Then as per Indian Roads Congress, okay, you should know this one. Whenever you are going for a DL test, they will ask what is the maximum width of the vehicle, maximum height of the vehicle and maximum length. So you should write this one. And in the exam also, vehicle dimensions, whenever they ask you to write the vehicle dimensions, so you remember maximum width of the vehicle is 2.5 meter, maximum height of the vehicle is 4.75 meter, maximum length of the vehicle is 18 meter. Okay, is it understood? Is it understood? Is it understood? Okay. Okay. So you should be in a point to remember that the maximum width of the road is 2.5 meter. The maximum height is 4.75 and the maximum length of the vehicle is 18 meter. Okay, that is maximum width is 2.5, maximum height is 4.75 and maximum length is 18 meter. So where you can provide the, from where you are getting this means from Indian Roads Congress. That is, it is a technical body which constitute for the technical aspects of the road. So which gives these values. Okay, you should remember maximum width, maximum height and maximum length of the vehicle. Then comes the weight of loaded vehicle. So usually the trucks, okay, usually the trucks will be loaded heavily. So the minimum load it can take is 8.1 ton. Okay, 8.1 tons it can take. Now it is increased to 10.2 tons. So the minimum load a truck can take is 8.1 ton. Now it is increased to 10.2 tons. So the maximum weight of loaded vehicles and load on the wheel affects the design of pavement. Remember, the vehicle dimension will affect the highway geometric design. The weight of the vehicle, the weight of the loaded vehicle depends on the design of pavement. Okay, the design of pavement is affected by this weight of loaded vehicle. The geometric elements are affected by the vehicle dimension. So the vehicle dimension will be affecting the geometric design and pavement design is affected by the load of the vehicle. The maximum permissible gross weights and axle load to have been standardized by the IRC. Again, the IRC is going to standardize the permissible gross loads and axle loads. I told right, a truck can carry up to 8.1 tons via, and now it is increased to 10.2 tons. That is, this is the axle. So it can carry up to 8.1 ton on this axle. Okay, this is about the weight of loaded vehicle. And you can see the width of the road, vehicle is 19 meter, but it is not IRC 1. So according to IRC, this is the correct. Width is 2.5 meter, maximum height 4.75. Then maximum length is 18 meter. Okay, is it understood? Is it understood? Is it understood? Kindly respond. Only one person is responding. That is Chandan. Chandan H. Kindly others also respond. Okay. Now we will move to power of the vehicle. So as we all know that the power of the vehicle means the capacity it can draw. That is the capacity it can draw, which will governs the permissible and limiting values of gradients. Okay, what do you mean by gradients? Means whenever a road is like this, so remember, so there will be theta and this is the x and this is y. So this will be the gradient. So the weight will be there. So the power of the vehicle governs this gradient. Okay, this sloping line is governed by the power of the vehicles and limiting value. And limiting values of the gradients are governed by this power of the vehicle. As we all know that 20 bhp, 30 bhp, and all those things we know. So that comes under this power of the vehicle. Then the power developed by the engine should be sufficient to overcome all the resistance of motion at desired speed, and it should have a sufficient speed and accelerate at desired rate to the desired speed. Okay, you can see in the diagram. So you can see in the diagram. What are the various forces which are going to apply on the vehicle when it is moving on the gradient? So the power of the vehicle should overcome all these resistances. Okay, the power of the vehicle should overcome all these resistances. Okay, what is that? The rolling resistance. You can see here the rolling resistance, which is called as friction resistance. Then air resistance, there will be resistance to air will be there, resistance which is offered by the air. Then grade resistance, that is this slanting line will be causing the resistance. Then inertia during acceleration and deceleration will be there. Then transmission losses. Okay, these are the various resistances which will be acting on the vehicle to overcome this power of the vehicle. So the power of the vehicle should overcome all these resistances. Okay, that is the rolling resistance. As the name itself indicates that which is a resistance to rolling of the vehicle, that is moving of the vehicle. So rolling resistance, then air resistance, then grade, that is air means whenever you are moving on the road means the air will be hitting the vehicle front. Okay, that is the air resistance. Then grade, whenever you are moving in the guard section, okay, especially in the guard section, the roads will be like this, the gradient roads will be there. So there you should resist the vehicle from grade resistance. So then inertia force during acceleration and deceleration, then transmission losses. Okay, now we will see what is this rolling resistance. Okay, I'll take another 4 to 5 minutes. Later on I will stop. So when the vehicle wheel rolls over the road surface, the irregularities and roughness. Okay, you see here, whenever there is an irregularity on the road, whenever the vehicle is able to move means there will be opposite action will be there. So whenever the vehicle is moving at P force, when there is an opposite action, when there is an irregularity, that opposing action that we are going to call it as the rolling resistance. Okay, that is whenever the wheels rolls over the road surface, the irregularities and roughness of the surface which will leads to the rolling resistance. Okay, that is shocks and impacts caused by such motion. These hinders rolling motion of the vehicle. Whenever there is a what I can say, whenever there is a big humps, all those things means your vehicle will get shocks and impacts. So that resistance we are going to call it as a rolling resistance. So that is PF is equal to M is equal to MFG. You can see here the vehicle is climbing the gradient. So whenever there is a irregularities on the surface means there will be opposite action will be there. That is PF. Whenever the vehicle is moving at P, and whenever there is an opposite action means there the rolling resistance is going to occur. Okay, how we are going to express, that is PF is equal to MFG, where M is the mass of the vehicle, F is the coefficient of rolling resistance, G is the acceleration due to gravity. Okay, this is about the rolling resistance. Then air resistance, you can see here in the diagram only, you can see in the photo only, whenever a vehicle is moving means the air is going to hit the front view of the vehicle, that is the front portion of the vehicle. So that is it will exert a reaction pressure against the vehicle when it moves at speed. Then friction of air against the side of the vehicle, not only on the front portion, the side portion of the vehicle. Okay, the friction will be developed. Then heading air of the airstream behind the vehicle, you can see this is the heading position. Okay, heading under the body and around the wheels. So the flow of air through vehicle is ventilating and cooling causes a resistance to motion. Whenever a high pressure air is made to oppose your vehicle means you have to have some resistance. So that resistance we are going to call it as air resistance, which is given by a curve square. So that is coefficient of air resistance. A is the area for projected front area. V is the speed of the vehicle. Okay, this is about the air resistance. So whenever a vehicle moves with the air resistance means it should oppose that movement. So that comes under this air resistance. Then comes the grade resistance. So whenever a vehicle is moving in a grade, okay, you can see here a grading line is there. So it will oppose the vehicle. So whenever the vehicle is moving like this means there will be drag, pull. There will be drag or pull will be there. So that pull we are going to call it as grade resistance. So if whenever the vehicle is moving on the normal ground means there will be no drag or pull. Whenever it is moving on a slant or gradient line means there will be drag. So that drag will be considered it as a grade resistance. So where I is the slope or gradient, M is the mass of the vehicle, G is the acceleration due to gravity. And whenever the vehicle is moving upwards means plus sign is taken in this formula, and it indicates a plus indicates upward moving of the vehicle, minus indicates downward moving of the vehicle. So this is the grade resistance. So we are going to solve some problems on this also. Then comes the inertia force. When you can expect this inertia force means when additional power is required by the vehicle to accelerate or decelerate, that we are going to call it as inertia force, which is given by this formula. So here also plus indicates acceleration, negative indicates deceleration. So remember, whenever an additional force is required for by the vehicle, that we are going to call it as acceleration and deceleration, that we are going to call it as inertia force. Then transmission losses, when as we all know that the vehicles will be having with gear system. So you are going to change the gears with respect to speed. You are going to change the gears with respect to speed, such that whenever you are changing the gears from one gear to another gear means there will be a loss of 10 to 15% engine power loss will be there. And whenever it comes under trucks and heavy vehicles, it is 25% loss will be there. So this is about transmission loss. So simply remember, whenever there is a change in the gear system, you are going to have this trucks and heavy vehicle, that is transmission losses. Then this speed and all those things we will discuss in the next class. Okay. Don't leave the session, be in the session. I'll download the attendance. So don't leave the session. Is it understood? I hope everyone have understood this one. What we have discussed today. Okay. I hope everyone have understood today. So in the tomorrow's class, I'm going to continue with the same. The speed of the vehicle and braking characteristics are left out. Thank you. I have downloaded the attendance. You can leave the session.